Breaking news right now, and that is a judge just cleared the way for the Justice Department to release the special counsel report into the Trump election subversion case. I want to go straight to CNN Chief Legal Affairs Correspondent Paula Reed following this. Paula, this is big news for a lot of reasons, especially who the judge is that decided to clear the way for this release.
That's exactly right. You're referring to Trump-appointed federal judge Aileen Cannon, which really surprised a lot of legal experts over the past few years with decisions she has made related to the special counsel's case. Over the summer, she really shocked a lot of people by tossing the classified documents case entirely, saying that special counsel Jack Smith had not been properly appointed. That decision was appealed, but what we're looking for today is whether she would try to block both of Jack Smith's reports. As a special counsel, he is required by regulation to submit reports detailing his investigative decisions to the Attorney General. He has submitted 2 reports to Attorney General Merrick Garland, one on his investigation into alleged election interference and one into Trump's alleged mishandling of classified documents. Now, the classified documents report is not expected to be released anytime soon because that case is still active. Trump had co-defendants in that case. Their cases are still active, even though Trump's has been dismissed. So all eyes are on the January 6th report. And in this decision just a few minutes ago, Judge Cannon, she cleared the way for this report to possibly be released. But in speaking with sources familiar with the Trump legal strategy, I would not be surprised if they appeal higher up the legal food chain to try to block this release. Because even those sources on both sides of this case, Dana, tell me there's not a lot of news in this report. We've already had a committee investigation, a committee report, an indictment detailing the evidence, and a really unusual release of a lot of evidence back in October in this case. The Trump team has made it clear they are going to fight Jack Smith and the Justice Department every step of the way. And so far, they have been extremely successful. They have managed to completely stave off this case and any consequences for their client. So I'm waiting to hear back to see if they will appeal this to try to block this report, even though, again, we don't expect there's really going to be a lot of news in the January 6th report, the classified documents report. That could have some news, but that's not what we're waiting for right now.
All right, Paula, thank you so much for that. I want to get right to Elie Honig. Elie, Paula just mentioned one of the questions I had for you, which is the appeals. Let's just go with the fact that the Trump legal team will appeal this. Hard to imagine they won't. Then ultimately it could get to the Supreme Court. This Supreme Court, which on a very different matter, but obviously it had a lot of political ramifications, last week said that the sentencing in the hush money trial could go forward for Donald Trump. Does that give you any sense of how it could go down if the Supreme Court gets this in their lap in the next couple of days?
Well, Dana, I don't think Donald Trump's team has any legal standing here. I don't think they're going to succeed either at the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals or even at the Supreme Court, because what the Trump team would essentially be asking to do here is to prohibit DOJ from releasing the January 6th special report. That's separate, as Paula said, from the classified documents report. There is simply no legal basis on which a court can stop DOJ from releasing that. So first of all, the special counsel, Jack Smith, has to create that report. He's already done that. We know that. Then it's up to the Attorney General whether he wants to release it. And there's simply no legal basis for a court, whether the Supreme Court on down, to come in and say, no, Attorney General, you cannot do that. More to the point, Donald Trump really can't show any ongoing prejudice here because he's already been dismissed from these 2 cases. That's actually why the classified documents decision to hold that one back and to keep that one just with Congress, it's a different case because there's still 2 defendants live in that case. So ultimately, I do think this report's going to come out, but Dana, it's all about managing the calendar and the clock here. If Donald Trump can hold this thing up another week, almost to the moment when he will become the next president, then his DOJ can choose not to release it. So just to sum up, I don't think he has any legal basis to get a court to stop it. But if he can gum things up for another 7 days, then it becomes his DOJ, and I'm sure they will not release it.
Yeah, such a good point. Thank you so much, Elie. And again, to Paula, and here at the table, I mean, that is the Trump strategy from the beginning of all of his legal troubles, back when he first said that he was going to run for president, which is delay, and in the hopes that his candidacy, his political situation, and ultimately his wish, and he got his wish, his status as president-elect would wipe it all away.
No question. And look, 1 week right now in this hour, he
Yeah.
will be the 47th president. Presumably by then, Pam Bondi, who's been nominated to lead the Department of Justice, her confirmation will be forthcoming. So there's not that much time to run out the clock, but they certainly will try and do that. But it's just interesting that this ruling is coming from Judge Cannon now. It just goes to show that she's acting independently, I guess. Because, I mean, she's been his favorite. We'll see how he responds to it.
Yeah, and just for people who don't remember, she has been in charge of both of these cases, but particularly on January 6th and classified documents. She has ruled again and again and again in a way that helped the Trump legal team slow walk a lot of this. She's a Trump appointee. I'm not saying that one has to do with the other, but she has been somebody who Donald Trump has been speaking very favorably of because of that.
Absolutely, and you know that when his favor changes, we're going to hear about it. But it isn't that much time. He's certainly going to try and run out the clock. But even were this to come out, if there isn't that much new information in it, people know about these cases, people have heard a lot about them. It's not really clear what it does, but besides enter it into the record in terms of his fortunes. I mean, he'll be president in a week.
I'm going to be interested in see what Pam Bondi says when she testifies on Wednesday before the Senate Judiciary Committee. Ellie is probably right that they may not have a legal basis to stop it, but they could run out the clock. What will she do if she gets confirmed? And what will she say when she's asked about this? Will she say, we're not going to release this report if I have the opportunity? Or will she muddy the waters? Will she not answer directly? That'll be an instructive exchange.
Yeah.
Undoubtedly, that will come up.
Yeah, no question.